Welcome to segment 4.3. In this segment, we'll continue our discussion of categories of mark and look in particular at trade dress. On page 177 of the textbook, this is actually a real interesting case. I find it interesting just because it's a very real world type of example. And we'll go over some of the elements of the Two Pesos versus Taco Cabana case in our discussion today, as well as potentially even a more recent example between, for example, In-N-Out and Chatters. Let's start with the question, however. The question that I pose to you is, did the court find that trade dress is protected by itself, or must it have satisfied secondary meaning in order to qualify for protection? So the court here on page 181 in their conclusion under section 3, they say, we agree with the Court of Appeals that proof of secondary meaning is not required to prevail on the claim 43A under the Lanham Act, where the trade dress at issue is inherently distinctive. And so you see that in their discussion, they went back and forth as to, all right, at what point may trade dress be eligible for patent protection? Is this something that would automatically be granted? And in this case, the court came back and actually said secondary considerations are not required if it is an inherently distinctive mark that is actually being used. Now you can, the second question there is, how does this conclusion differ from historical precedent? And the historical precedent was simply that for trade dress in general, you must always show secondary considerations. So there was a little bit of a subset niche that was carved out, namely that if the trade dress is inherently distinctive, then it can qualify immediately for trade dress protection. If it is not inherently distinctive, then it would still require secondary considerations. So let's look a little bit more at this trade dress type concept. So trademarks, again, protected goods. Service marks, protected service. Trade dress, on the other hand, is the image of the product, or how it is packaged up, or the appearance to the consumer as to how it is received. In the Chrysler case, it indicated the design and appearance of a product together with the elements making up the overall image that serves to identify the product presented to the consumer. And that's a very good definition as to what trade dress actually relates to. In short, when you order a product, let's say online, and that product comes in a fancy box, then the presentation of whatever product it is that you ordered, that presentation is the trade dress, how it actually is presented to the consumer, the totality of the entire package as it is being actually delivered. So you have, for example, the Klondike bar. You obviously have the mark itself of Klondike, but the foil wrapper around it is something that is kind of very stereotypical for the Klondike bar. And when you see a foil wrapped ice cream sandwich, you may automatically think, oh, that's Klondike. That's trade dress right there. You have the Happy Meal. Again, this is the entire package that is being delivered for the food. The IHOP restaurants are, and you don't see this as much with some of the more modern day IHOP restaurants, but you can still see a number, if you look at the older ones, the older A-frame type style IHOP type restaurants. And so that was kind of the package that they were provided as far as the overall look and appearance of the restaurant itself. You have a Coca-Cola, namely the type of bottle that it's being presented in. There's also a design patent on that, by the way. Hershey's, again, you have this aluminum covering over the chocolate itself. Now going to the case that you read, the Two Pesos versus Taco Cabana case, the court looked at that case, and some of their analysis, they indicated the features, again, this relates to the concept of trade dress, features such as size, shape, color combinations, texture, graphics, even particular sales techniques. Interesting. All of that contributes to this overall product that is actually being delivered. They indicated further, Taco Cabana's trade dress may include the shape and general appearance of the exterior of the restaurant, the identifying sign, the interior kitchen floor plan, the decor, the menu, the equipment, the server's uniforms, and other features are reflected on the total image of the restaurant. So, and in short, you can almost think that the court here is analyzing this from the point of view of a consumer that's driving up to each of those establishments. So you drive up to Taco Cabana and to Pesos, and the question that you're asking is, when you drive up to one, do you think you're driving up to that same one when you actually go to the other? So is the exterior looking the same? When you enter in, is the ambiance of the environment of the restaurant very similar to the other one as well? You can see here on the left-hand side is an image of the Taco Cabana restaurant. On the right-hand side, and these are court documents from the actual court filings, is the Two Pesos restaurant. You can see that both of them are essentially a very rectangular type design. You have some shade elements that are coming off of the building, but in both cases, it's a very similar looking type, what I would say, standard fast food arrangement as far as the restaurant is concerned. The court there did find that there was definitely an overlap, that when you walk into one, it's very similar into walking into the other. Let's take a more recent example here. This is the In-N-Out Burgers and Cheddar's restaurant. This is always an interesting case for me because I grew up in Southern California where there was a lot of In-N-Out restaurants. And in fact, nowadays you find it a little bit all over. But during this time frame, In-N-Out was trying to make its way up into Utah, but had not yet. And so Cheddar's comes along, and Cheddar's, in essence, tried to mimic exactly what was going on in In-N-Out. So, and I've actually, before it was shut down, I ate at a number of Cheddar's restaurants in Utah. And when you go in there, they do not necessarily call it a 4x4 or an animal style, but when you're when you're actually putting your order and you're saying, hey, can I get that animal style? They say, oh, absolutely, yeah. Even though we're not In-N-Out, we understand that menu and we will apply it as such. So In-N-Out filed suit against Cheddar's, saying that the restaurant was copying its competitors' menu, serving style, building layout, color scheme. I would agree with all that. The menu looked almost identical. The serving style, they often were wearing the same exact things that you would have at In-N-Out. The color scheme was literally the same as well. So the entire flow of everything made you feel as if you were at In-N-Out. In-N-Out has no outlets in Utah, but is located in 207 sites in California, Nevada, and Arizona. In-N-Out claimed that a few customers had ordered and been served a protein-style burger, animal-style burger, that was me, 3-and-3 burger, 3x3, 4x4, or a double burger, although all these names are protected by federally registered trademarks. Servers filled the orders, though none of those specific names are on the Cheddar's menu. And that is correct. You go in there, it doesn't say 4x4, doesn't say animal style, but you're talking to someone orally, and they actually take your order that way. You can see that right here in the actual complaint that was filed, In-N-Out indicated that its trade dress included simple red and white menu boards, a red and white color scheme, and again with yellow accents that was shown on the walls, tiles, seating structure, a gray and white tile checkerboard floor, exteriors with a California tile roof, employee uniforms with red aprons and red hats or visors. And all those were In-N-Out alleged, so that is part of all the trade dress that it is known for. You can see, for example, here is an example of In-N-Out. You have the very typical red hats. You can have, actually, I take it back. Look, on the left-hand side is In-N-Out. See, look, it even fooled me. On the left-hand side is In-N-Out. On the right-hand side is Cheddar's. So I have to look carefully there to verify. But you can see that when you're looking at the menu for Cheddar's, you're thinking that you're looking at a menu for In-N-Out. And not only that, but when you order something through the person that's taking your order, again, you're thinking that you are in and out. When you look at the two menus, again, on the left-hand side is actual in and out, on the right-hand side is Chatters. Does it look 100% the same? And the answer is no. The font's a little bit different. The arrangement is not exactly the same. But that being said, a person that's been in and out, that suddenly is going through Chatters, is thinking in and out. Left-hand side again, in and out. Right-hand side, Chatters. So at the conclusion of the case, it was found, similar to the 2 pesos Taco Cabana case, that there was infringement of trade dress. So Chatters ended up being shut down, and my stint of getting In-N-Out burgers in Utah, while I lived there for some time, ended as well, until In-N-Out finally made its way to Utah as well. So in short, trade dress kind of protects this overall feel, the experience that you get when you actually walk into an establishment, the ambiance, the environment, all of that is protected. And that makes sense, because if the flavor, the ambiance, the environment, the product packaging, if all that is still makes you think of a source of goods or service, then it would make sense that we would want to protect that under trademark law as well.